Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to commend you, Mr. Chairman, also Senator Feinstein. I know both of you have a long-standing interest in this, and I think it's an extremely important hearing, and I want to commend my colleagues for getting into it. Attorney General Goddard, a question for you, and I'm going to spare, I think, you other three, at least for my initial kind of round, because the Attorney General has been working in an area that Oregon law enforcement officials are particularly interested in, and that is this matter of Article 4 prosecutions. Article 4 prosecutions allow U.S. authorities to pursue Mexican nationals who've committed a crime, say a crime in Oregon or California or Illinois, and then flee to Mexico. And in our state, law enforcement officials are dealing with a case exactly like this right now. There's been an allegation of a double murder. The accused is a Mexican national who was charged with killing his cousin and niece in January in Polk County in our state and has fled to Mexico. And Oregon law enforcement officials would like to see this individual prosecuted. So could you tell us your experience, Attorney General Goddard, with Article 4 prosecutions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Wyden, I certainly would happy to. I believe Article 4 is one of the important tools in the arsenal. In Arizona, we have used the process on many occasions while I've been Attorney General, and it goes back way before then. It is complicated, and it requires a certain amount of specialized knowledge. We have in Arizona specialized prosecutors and investigators who understand the process that is required by Article 4. It is very different from our method of criminal trial, but it does provide the opportunity in the case that you've given, and we have several similar in Arizona, where we know who the suspect is, to be able to bring it to the attention of Mexican authorities and have them tried and, if convicted, serve their sentence in Mexico.
Well, let's talk about ways to make it simpler, because I think you've put your finger on it, that this is a useful tool, but at present it's just too complicated as it is presently constituted. Would it be helpful, in your judgment, to have the Justice Department, the U.S. Justice Department, involved in these cases? The Justice Department, as the program is now set up, is not involved.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Wyden, I'm cautious of that. As a state attorney general, we like to do things ourselves, but you put your finger on an important disparity. If Article 4s are handled by the Justice Department in Mexico, by the PGR, and so we have the sort of the anomalous situation of states dealing with a federal agency. I think it's worked pretty well, but it probably could be improved, both in terms of understanding of the process and making it simply more available to prosecutors throughout our country.
Because my sense is, talking to local law enforcement officials, they certainly don't want the federal government to come on in and dictate to them various things with respect to these prosecutions, but they do like the idea of some help with coordinating the way these cases are brought. There may be instances where some training and specialized assistance is necessary. I gather that those kinds of things you would see as useful.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Wyden, absolutely. I think anything that could raise the bar in this kind of joint prosecution effort, and in the new area that we're just beginning to look at now, which is using Article 4 not just where we have a carefully identified suspect, which is the way it's done today, but to actually collaborate with Mexican authorities in the investigation of crime, so that when we have a suspect but we don't know who they are, we could open an investigative file on both sides of the border using Article 4, and thereby, I think, significantly increase our ability to cross the border with law enforcement efforts.
So if you're me and you're drafting legislation because your local law enforcement officials want to get more mileage out of Article 4, what else would you consider putting in other than the issues we're talking about with respect to the Justice Department?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Wyden, I'd be happy to work on that with some of our Article 4 folks in Arizona. I believe training, funding, and the enhancement of investigations jointly on both sides of the border are tremendously helpful. Certainly Justice Department active involvement could be very helpful in coordinating what right now is an extremely diverse and I would say fractured effort to
We'll follow up with you, and just so I'm clear, this is something that you consider a useful tool. You'd like to make more use of it in the future. Looking at ways to make it simpler and to expedite it would be helpful.
Senator, absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Feinstein.